Good morning and welcome to the planning section of the retreat. So since our staff is a little shorthanded, I'm doing video directions for this section of the retreat. You will be working with your grade level teams and cross grade level teams, if necessary, to work on curriculum during this 45-minute section. If you are in a testing grade, I've also provided a draft of the iLearn blueprints, just so you can get a look at them. This is just a little bit of a planning section, so you can start looking at them. The iLearn is just a draft. The final copy will be available October 1st. So this is just to get a feel for it and start kind of looking and planning for things. So I'm going to go over a couple of these items, and you'll have the rest of the time in this session to start planning, especially math and language arts. We will start using the Crawfordsville curriculum maps that third grade started using last year. They did have the highest ISTEP scores in the entire district. So using that map seemed to help a lot. With this map, I want you to keep in mind, it's not necessarily in order by quarter. So you can skip around, but we want to try to follow it as far as trying to get those things taught within each grading period. So I have provided for you language arts and math for each for the first grading period. So I want you to start kind of looking at that and seeing how you can start incorporating those things. I know we do have a new test this year, but we're not improving our scores. And I know the kids are more than a score, but we have to start doing something different because that is something we're held accountable for. So as you're looking at your map, you're going to see that it has the content, the Indiana standards, the skills they need, assessment, vocabulary. Now, keep in mind, this is their assessments. These are just ideas. I want you to start thinking about how it aligns to some of the materials we already have. I looked a lot at the math already, and especially in the younger grades, it does align a lot to everyday math and some of the materials we have already. So we should not be completely reinventing the wheel. That's why I want you to collaborate with your grade level partner and or the grade level above or below you and see how we can fit these in. Now, I know for the upper grades, it says ISTEP, and if it's on ISTEP and different things, I know this is a new test. It's adaptive, so we're going to be learning as we go here, so that's going to be a little bit different. So I did pull up third grade to look at because I'm going to screen share in just a minute for the upper grades so you can get an idea of the blueprints, where to find it, and what some of the stuff means. So if you're in upper grade, you're going to see a blueprint that looks like this. It does say draft, but I'm going to show you the directions that are online and how to get to them from the Indiana Department of Education and what all these numbers mean on the blueprint draft. So it makes a little more sense. I'm still a little new to it, so I might not have all the answers either as far as what it exactly means. So let me go to my screen share here. Give me just a second. Okay. So through the retreat, if you went to the iLearn and go to the blueprint draft, it comes up as this through the Indiana Department of Education. So if you go through the Indiana Department of Education and go to the assessment and iLearn test design and blueprints, you'll see all the grade levels. So I'm going to go ahead and click on third grade math. The beginning part of this for every grade level is the same. It's just the second starting on page 3 for all of the grade levels obviously is different because it gives you the directions. So I'm going to kind of skip this first part because then I'm going to get into the reporting. So where it says reporting category, that is if you look at your sheet, that's that first column that says reporting category. So if you're looking at math, like it, most of it starts with the algebraic thinking, computation, that sort of thing. That is the percentage that is on the test. They're all often combined. So it's kind of telling you how much of what's going to be on the test. Next, you're going to see the standard. So that's pretty self-explanatory what standard is going to be on the test. And then they do have a link for the standards because I don't know about you. I don't know the numbers all off the top of my head. I have no idea what 3AT1 is. So I would have to look that up. Since you teach that every day, you may know exactly what that is. Then, did I click on ELA on accident? Oh, no. It just says that. Okay. So then it says standard range. So you're going to see standard item range and it says minimum and maximum. So what it's telling you is it's telling you how many standards or questions are possible, and it's adaptive. So if it has a 0 there, it's possible that some students might not have that question and some students might, because it's adaptive. If you notice, it says for fixed assessments, a standard with a range that starts at 0 indicates that not every standard will be assessed. So I know that's tricky because now it's like, okay, well, half of these say 0. So how do we know if that standard's even going to be on the test? I don't have an answer for that. But I would guess if it goes from 0 to 2, you know, obviously some of those are going to be on there. You know, obviously it says 1 to 3. If it's got a 1 in there, it's probably going to be on the test. Kind of like we had those critical versus non-critical standards before. So it's kind of, I'm guessing, where that falls. And then we go to standard percentage of the test. That's telling us the percentage of the test for each standard and the corresponding reporting category. So a minimum of, like, if I look at 3.at.1, it says a minimum of 2%, maximum of 6%. So I'm assuming there's a likelihood that that standard is probably going to be on the test. And then I noticed the rest of algebraic thinking is 0 to 4%. So, but then it says the reporting category, the range is a possible assessment for each year with field test items. So it says, like, there's probably 9 to 11 questions, basically, category range that's probably going to be on the test. So, you know, it's kind of hard for us to say. Let me see. So they're going to have higher level thinking questions. It's adaptive. Each student will respond to 3 hand-scored items throughout the assessment. So most of it is going to, they're going to have real world scenarios, performance tasks that align to the standard. So it's going to be a lot of those performance tasks. So if we're looking at like those process standards, that's going to be a lot of what we're going to want to concentrate on. I know as far as the test goes, if we look at here, that's not, you know, that's a low percentage, but if you're thinking about what you're teaching, they need to know how to do the math and that critical thinking skills. So as far as when you're looking at the blueprint, you can always pull this back up to look at it. I know that explanation probably wasn't fantastic, but we haven't really been trained on this yet. I have security training next week, but I don't know that I'm going to learn too much more about the iLearn test. So if you read this a little more specifically and see something that I didn't, please share it. But this is pretty much all the information we have. I read the PowerPoint and it doesn't really give too much more detail than what I just showed you. So right now, I wouldn't concentrate as much on the iLearn as I would the stuff just teaching in general on the curriculum maps. So, but I wanted you to have that information because I know as you're planning, you probably, especially if you're testing grade, you're probably starting to think, well, what am I supposed to teach? Because we have a new test and we don't know what's on it. So I wanted to make sure you had the information in your hands. But as you're starting to plan, yes, I want you to have it. Yes, you should be thinking about those things, but don't today start stressing about this document. As I learn more, we will have PDs on iLearn and those things, and we'll differentiate because I know K1, 2, while it's important for you to know what the upper grades will be testing on so you can align your stuff to that. When I'm specifically talking about that, you know, we'll differentiate that PD. So today, work with your grade level teams on planning those, especially those first 20 days, how you're going to jumpstart your curriculum. Because remember, you still are teaching, even though you're teaching routines and procedures. But go ahead and use this 45 minutes to, well, probably 40 minutes now. But anyway, the time you have left to work with your grade level partners, get a jump on looking at this first grading period curriculum map, and in our next few PDs, we'll, you know, keep looking at the map and see how it's working, how it's not working, what we need to do to change it, and keep improving what you're already doing in the classroom because you're doing a great job. We just need to refine what we're doing. So use this time to work, and we'll switch sessions shortly.